What inspired the idea was when I first originally started writing my book, I envisioned it where I get all sorts of clientele that come in my chair, and I get to hear the most amazing stories from every individual person. And I feel like, you know, I interview people every day, all day, every 30 minutes. So the idea came about of being able to interview the everyday people of everyday life, and just finding the ordinary, beautiful people and finding out what they're unique and special in. Because we're all special and we're all talented in something.
I need to take this. Can we take this down too?
Yeah, we're gonna do the whole thing.
Alright, perfect.
So we're doing like a haircut / interview, almost like a podcast kind of style.
That's
So
dope.
I'm gonna cut you up and I'm gonna like have like a full-blown conversation that we've been doing in a sense of like cutting.
Same thing every time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, you know, if you have any like fun, like things you want to throw out there and
Perfect.
kind of like little punchlines,
Yeah.
you're more than welcome to.
Cool.
Yeah,
Is the
well-
vision for this to drive more business, promote yourself, to
So-
just put like what's the
The vision behind it. So the vision behind it is number one content.
yeah.
Content is commodity nowadays.
Yep.
You know that.
Yep.
And one thing is to drive more business, of course. Barbers are therapists, I would say,
I agree.
because it's a therapist that can actually give you feedback, because a therapist can only listen without giving you feedback, but a barber will give you his 2 cents and tell you if you're on the right track or not. And I think that's the difference between, you know, a therapist and a barber.
Ain't no slowing down, I'm chasing, getting what I want. Ain't no other way for
Homie who runs a really successful barbershop in Austin, Texas, and he invested an insane amount of money, not in his shop first, not in his people first, but in his social media and his website first.
Yeah.
And then he built everything else around it.
100%.
Yeah, and he's like, to be honest with you, I wasn't even like 7-8 years ago when I first started. He's like, I wasn't even that great of like a barber. He's like, I've grown to be like, he believes one of the best like in the game. But he's like, people knew who I was. I treated them well, but they most importantly knew about me. So they gave me
100%.
business.
Well, it's kind of the thing where I feel like another thing too, people make the biggest mistake is like they try to be ready to do something.
Yeah.
Where it's like just because you're not ready to open up your shop doesn't mean you shouldn't be ready to be on the back end, do the steps to get to where you know
Yeah.
when you're there to open up your shop, you have all the back end stuff ready to go. That you're not having to do it. When
Think with the
you're
end in mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like
Don't get here and have no clients for an entire day and go, man,
that's kind of what I did.
should have built my brand.
Well, that's kind of what I did, you know what I mean? I opened up when I was 21, right? And then when I opened up, like, I left all my clients in my dad's shop.
Yeah.
I started here with 0 clients. I was literally here for 30 days, no clients. Like, I had to literally get a sign guy, put him out there. I had the same
Yeah,
sign
you've
guy.
been innovative for a
Dude,
minute.
I've done all kinds.
And they're like, it's
of things.
Scottsdale there, Phoenix here, move across the street.
Yo, I've done all kinds of crazy things. It's like, I feel like if you don't like innovate yourself and you don't constantly like change things up and you don't do something new,
You're gonna get left behind.
you're gonna get left behind.
Yeah.
Another thing I also learned is like you never want to worry about what somebody else is doing, because you kind of like not worrying about your own craft. You gotta more focus on your own craft and then not worry about what somebody else's craft is doing, because how can you perfect your own craft when you worry about somebody else's craft?
Yeah, and if you're copying them, you're already late to the game anyway.
Exactly.
People try to copy people, well, those people are phasing out already.
True.
You gotta be innovative.
That's very true. I heard this quote where the guy said, it's like, he said something about the lumber business, and he goes, you know, when everybody was like getting into the lumber business, I was trying to reinvent myself, and I was asking myself like, what is it going to be 5 years from now? Because if everybody's jumping into the lumber business, how can I make money out of it? So the guy decided to start making chopsticks out of the lumber that, and dude,
So you had a use for the wood.
he's had the use for the wood,
Yeah,
and
he didn't
made-
just supply wood.
exactly, dude. So he made tons of money, and on top of it, he was early into the game, so he started buying out the companies behind him that
Yeah.
were starting to not make money.
And they didn't
because-
have any use for their product.
Exactly, yo.
That's smart.
It was fucking.
That's
nuts.
super smart.
It was
The chopstick, man.
It was a chopstick, man, for sure.
That's crazy to think about too. Like the guy who invented the paperclip, the chopstick, all that. It's like
or the wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear about the whole wheelbarrow thing, dude? The wheelbarrow thing is crazy. There was a wheelbarrow that was out there. It was been invented for a long ass time. But the crazy thing is that it got somebody saw that there wasn't a patent on the wheelbarrow, decided to put a patent on it, and now it's collecting royalties on the patent on the wheelbarrow.
On everything.
Yeah. And anytime somebody makes a wheelbarrow, he
It's
gets paid on
somebody
it.
else made it, not the guy who owns the patent.
Before we start, you know, well, what are we doing today, in a sense? I know you told me the beard.
That's the best part about coming to you.
The best
You
part
know.
about coming to me is that you don't tell me much, and you say do your thing, and I do my thing. And
Well, I
can't-
trust you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's all about
it's
the trust, for sure.
Barbershop is trust.
100%.
Yeah, it's trust. So we'll take down the beard,
For sure.
similar to how you have yours, kind of. But I'm gonna
Okay.
thin this out a little bit more than normal, and then I think we do 1.5, 2 on the sides,
Okay. 1.5.
line, and then take a little bit up top.
Cool.
Good to
You
go.
got it.
And hopefully my brand new fresh haircut will help people stop staring at my terrible sunburn.
Love it.
Worst part is I wore my hat backwards golfing, so you can see
Uh-huh.
the white stripe in the middle of my head.
Oh, is that what that is?
Oh yeah, bro, that's from my hat. And I wear glasses, so under my eyes I'm pretty white, but everywhere else I'm like pink.
That's so funny, yeah.
Yeah, so when I got home, my girl looked at me, she's like, "Have you looked at yourself?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? I just played like 18 holes, I'm sweating, like I just did a fantasy football draft." No. Went in the bathroom and looked, and I started dying laughing. I was like, I have 3 leadership calls today, like on Zoom. This is gonna be interesting.
Alright, so leadership calls. So like, let's talk about like a little bit of what you do. Let's dive in.
Yeah.
So like, when you say leadership board, like explain a little bit, elaborate. You know, tell the viewers like what exactly you're doing. How'd you get involved in it? What inspired it?
Yeah, I mean, like 8 years ago, I was in college, a freshman in college, playing sports, football and baseball both. Super broke, like every college student. Being really broke in school, I think sucks, because even like $100 a week can go a long way in college. So I was looking for side hustles, got introduced to some friends that were making money by building a business online. And that business wasn't even very successful for me, but I met some really dope people.
Through the process of it.
Yeah. And it's just kind of like funny how life works, but
It's true what they say, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
yeah, and it's funny too, like people get attached to a certain vehicle, like maybe it's a certain job or certain promotion or a certain occupation or whatever, right? But you shouldn't be focused on the vehicle, just focus on the process. And luckily for me, I'm a networker and made really good friends, some really cool people in that first opportunity, and that led to some really deep friendships. And so about 4.5 years ago, I got introduced to cryptocurrency for the first time and had no idea what it was. College dropout, 5 concussions playing college sports, so wouldn't say I'm a brainiac, but got around people that knew more than me, and we provide financial literacy and education, teach people about crypto, teach people how to trade. Have like 400,000 students worldwide in the platform, so yeah, just focused on leadership development, helping people get educated.
So tell them about the brand that the leadership program is for.
Yeah,
Like-
so the platform, we leverage basically the largest platform in the world called I Am Mastery Academy. And then specifically what we kind of do inside of our organization is kind of focus on twofold. Number one, helping people take the current income that they have and multiply it. And then number two, bring in new streams of income. So we teach people how to build businesses online, create passive income, so they have more money to be able to potentially invest into the markets. And for me, the stress isn't really even money. Money's just a byproduct and a result, but it's education and application of it. So you don't know what you don't know. I don't know what I don't know. And I'm just grateful. 4 or 5 years ago, I had friends that I trusted that brought this to me. So I listened, but man, I had no idea like at all this whole world that I'm in now even existed, what it was. I had a lot of limiting beliefs, but yeah, right before here, I just had a leadership call with our organization.
Now, do you feel like you have to fully be ready to jump into it? Or, is it one of those things like, just jump into it, get your feet wet, get your feet get your feet wet in order to like try it out? Because, if you without actually trying it, you won't really know.
Yeah.
And it's like anything else in life, don't try to wait until, you...
Yeah, you definitely can't be ready, right? Like you can't be like, I'm ready today, I'm gonna do this. I tell people like the opportunity kind of found me. I didn't find it. I wasn't even really searching for it, but yeah, I mean, for me, I was in a position where I was just looking to have time freedom, work with my friends, and there's not many places out there that had that. And
Well, you just recently got married too, and that's a big move right there, you know.
that was actually what pushed it a little bit. That timer. I mean, when you're single and you can focus on yourself, you don't really think outside of yourself. You just think about kind of day to day a little bit more. So I could travel, and I don't want to say live paycheck to paycheck, but like you don't have to really plan too far ahead. And so
That's kind of the beautiful thing about being single, right?
No, it is.
There's like no worries. There's nobody telling you what you can't do in a sense.
yeah, no, I mean, I definitely look back on that time, and I lived it up, had a good time, and it was though when things started kind of heating up, I mean, rings are expensive.
For sure, they are.
Weddings are expensive.
I definitely know because I was married at one point. I'm not married any longer, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know from experience, houses are expensive.
They are. I used to have one until I had to sell it after my divorce, you know?
and I don't have kids, but I know that I wasn't probably the cheapest kid ever. And
You know, I don't have any kids, but I definitely went through like IUI and IUF, you know what I
Yep.
mean? That was like not a cheap process as well,
Yep.
just to let you know. Like, it was pretty expensive. It was probably like a little bit straining on the relationship, you know? Especially when the doctors are kind of telling you when you can and cannot have sex with your wife, kind of thing. Kind of sucks.
it's bizarre.
It kind of like ruins the whole like sexy time. You know what I mean? Because you can't really
Kills the
have
vibe a little bit.
For sure, you can't really have sexy time when it's like, hey, 8 o'clock. You gotta get down. You gotta be here. Let's fuck.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have that. That's for
man,
sure.
It was tough.
I schedule a lot of my day, but we don't really do that. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm only 27 now, but I think like then I guess it was 23, 24, knowing like, okay, marriage is definitely about to happen, engagement, I started ring shopping, and I don't know, you just start thinking like, is what I'm doing today 10 years from now going to get me the result that I want?
Yeah,
Right? And
for sure.
I kind of had to do like a revision and like look at, okay, what am I doing on a day-to-day basis? What are my income streams? Like, what is my passion? And I kind of did that whole like revisit. And right when I was like kind of just coming to a realization that maybe I'm looking for an additional stream of income or looking for something new to do, right when I started doing that is when I got introduced to this. So I mean, it was divine. It was definitely attracting it. And but I didn't have any, to be honest, like I didn't get involved thinking it was gonna
Make you rich.
yeah, but I didn't even think it would be like a full-time thing.
Yeah.
Like I had no plan, I had no like attachment. I just said,
Well, isn't that the best thing? Sometimes it's like you gotta do something that, you know, just to try.
yep.
You know, something different, something out of the ordinary.
Yeah, and what I also realized too is, I mean, one of my biggest pieces of advice is I got from my mentor really, really young at like 18. He just said, Christian, you gotta follow people that have what you want, that got there how you're willing to get there, and that are willing to teach you how to do it. And a lot of times people listen to people, they may have what they want, but they're not willing to teach them, or they're not willing to do what that person did to get there. And so when I saw this, I knew luckily the people that, you know, had been doing really well, they were open to mentoring me, which I'm grateful for, but they were also, you know, I was willing to do the work necessary to get to where I wanted to get.
That's key. You
Yeah.
can't have result without putting in the work, and that's the biggest thing that people forget. They want result without putting in the work. They think just because they showed up 1 or 2 times, they're gonna get the result. But
Yeah.
no, you gotta constantly show up. It's a constant grind. It's a constant hustle.
Facts.
It doesn't just happen overnight. It may happen over a few nights, but not an overnight kind of success kind of thing. And
Yeah.
some people do get that, you know.
They do.
And God bless them. But you know, that means that they're stars and everything is aligned all at the right moment, right time. You know, they were ready for that opportunity.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I tell people, like, do you remember, like, you know how in college there's prerequisite courses, right?
oh yeah.
So, like, I didn't get to decide my major until, whatever, going to your, like, junior year. So you got to take liberal arts and, you know, this religion class and Spanish and all these different things that have nothing to do with your major necessarily. Hard work is the prerequisite to
Yeah.
anything successful. So it's like what I tell people is like, you may know what you want to do, and you may have that vision in your head, and you may be, you know, think you're on the right track, but hard work's a prerequisite. Like, it's non-negotiable. You kind of have to have it. I mean, look at what we're doing now. 8 o'clock at night, right? Like,
Yeah.
You're working on your craft.
Very true.
So,
Well, this is also kind of like a hobby for me too. I was really fortunate to, you know, jump into something that became a hobby for me. You know.
yeah, something that you enjoy that doesn't feel like work.
And the funny thing is, I got catfished into this actually. You know, my dad actually catfished me into becoming a barber, and he was like, I was telling him that I wanted to go to school to go to business, and while I was a senior in high school, I was able to graduate. I was able to have all my classes and my classes to be able to graduate like ahead of time, like ahead of my senior class. And during that time, my dad was like, well, you already know what you want to go to school for. Why don't you go get your barber's license, and you'll be able to take over my shop whenever I'm retired or whenever I'm ready to like step down. And I was like, all right, Dad, I was like, I'm willing to do that, but I don't want to wait too long, you know what I mean, to take over. I want to be able to learn what you know and be able to do it.
Yeah.
And not have to wait, you know, because the biggest thing that I see, and especially in the Russian Jewish community, you know, growing up, I see this happening a lot where, you know, blind faith is what I call it. You know, and where they promise you the mountains, but they don't deliver on the mountain because there is no mountain in the end. You know what I mean? And it's just like blind faith, and it's like I didn't want to follow. Like, I got catfished into becoming a barber, but I didn't want to like continue being catfished, because I was like, hey Dad, after like 4 years I came up to him, I was like, all right Dad, I was like, I'm ready to take over, I'm ready for you to go do something else. I know you've been wanting to talk about like opening up another shop or doing something different. And he was just like, you know, he goes, I'm not ready yet. I was like, well, when are you gonna be ready? And he's like, you know, I'll let you know when I'm ready. I was like, well, I don't want to wait till the time that you're ready, because I'm ready right now. He goes, well, I don't know what to tell you. So I took a year. I just decided to like go on my own, work in a few shops. I was like, you know what? If I'm really gonna do this, I want to know what else I can learn.
Played the field, saw what's going on, learn the game.
Exactly, learn from other people other than my dad, because my dad has his way of doing things, and I just wanted to make sure that that was the right way of doing something, right?
Yep.
And 1 year after, like, having that conversation with my dad, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to open up my own shop. I was 21 years old. You know, I decided to open up my own shop. I was actually telling Kelly earlier, I was like, I got arrested when I was 21, right? As I opened up my shop, thinking, you know, thinking of the fast money. But there's no such thing as doing it like going the fast route. As fast as it comes is as fast as it goes. What I learned jumping into a field of chasing a dream that wasn't mine, in a sense. You know what I mean? It was a dream that was given to me by the media, by the TV, by other people, that this is the life that shows fast excitement, fast, like everything was fast about it. And I got trapped, I got arrested, I got lucky because I was facing 6 to 18 years of jail. And everybody was telling me I was crazy for even opening up the shop, because they're like, what's gonna happen?
You're gonna be around.
Yeah, they're like, you're not even gonna be around for your shop. Like, what are you thinking? And I was like, well, the way I'm thinking is like, well, if I have to go to jail, I'd rather have commissary money. You know what I mean? Commissary money, instead of having to like not know where my money's coming. I'd rather have commissary money to be able to feed myself while I'm in jail, and then when I get out, at least I have somewhere to go to, because I didn't want to worry about where am I gonna work. Because a lot of times, like when you're a felon, the biggest like fear that you have is
making money.
You know what I mean? And that was like one of the fears I did have. Like after I got arrested, I was like, how am I gonna make money? You know what I mean? But I got really lucky because the judge actually saw me taking full responsibility for my actions. I didn't try to pin it off on somebody else. I took full responsibility, and the judge gave me 4 years of probation. You know, and like a hefty fine, of course. You know, you can't get away without paying a hefty fine in the United States, just to let you guys know.
I think though that's interesting because, like, I don't know, I think there's a lot to unpack there, but I mean, I know that you may think like having blind faith was like you were smart for not falling to that blind faith, but I think it's almost smart, in my opinion, like you had an insane amount of blind faith in yourself,
Yes.
not other people, and not what they were pitching you or telling you or their version of who you are, but to yourself. I mean, I think that given the circumstances, not many people would have. I mean, not many people even at 21 are gonna double down on them and start a business, but never mind facing all the adversity of what you were going through. So I think, I don't know, that's something I'm a big person in. Like, I think the best investment is in yourself, and I think you should just double down on you.
I totally agree with you. Well, like I was telling like somebody earlier today, I was like, yo, if anybody, why not me?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm gonna invest in anything or anyone, why not me?
Yep.
If I'm gonna invest in someone else, that means that I don't trust myself and my own decision making, and I'm gonna trust someone else with my money to make my reality come true.
Yeah.
When you should have faith in yourself, in order to create the dream and the reality that you truly want, because it's truly one step or one person away from where you want to be, in a sense.
Yep.
And I think that's a lot of things that people tend to forget. You're literally one step or one person away from what you want to achieve, what you want to do, where you want to be.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times it's kind of scary. Like, it's a lot easier to conform to what everyone else is telling you to do. But I mean, given the fact that I'm in a financial literacy and education company and have built a leadership position, like, people ask me all the time, like, yo, what's the best investment? Jukes, like, real estate's going up, or like, yo, crypto's going up, and stock market's going crazy, GameStop, AMC, like, Bitcoin, Ethereum, what's the best investment? And it's funny, I always tell people, I say you, and they don't understand it, but like, that's the reason why, like, given what I do for a living is just helping people with financial literacy. But I tell people, like, until you're willing to invest into yourself, you're really not telling the universe, the world, God, whatever you believe in, that you're ready to accept the blessing anyway.
I totally agree. Well, the thing is, like, the one thing I always tell people about the stock market, invest into the brands that you buy in your own household.
Yeah.
Because if you're the one buying it for your own household, that means you want that company to be around. You know what I mean? And why not invest in it? Because that's the company that you're buying and you're investing into your own household.
Yeah, my dad works they don't have this program anymore, but my dad works for PepsiCo, and they had a program where, like, they would match the amount of money you would put in the stock for a while, like back in the day.
Okay.
So, like, my dad did that for a while, whereas, like, I already work for the company. I consume the products every day, right?
Yeah.
Chips, Doritos, Fritos, Lay's, all that stuff.
I totally agree.
So he would take a piece of the check and always, like, go into the stock. They would meet him halfway too, so that was helpful, but it's like, why wouldn't I?
Exactly.
I work here every day anyway, double down on what I'm already doing.
Exactly, I totally agree. I'm gonna have you kind of slightly set up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then put your head back. Yo. Cool. I'm gonna keep you quiet for 1 second so I can line you up. I wanna actually, like, what do you think of the haircut? I'm about to, sharpen you up with a razor.
I look like a different human being.
I know, you look like an actual human being that's ready to go out there and make some money, actually.
I look like I can actually run a leadership call now.
I agree, and the only thing you're missing now is a suit.
You selling me a suit now?
I mean, I could sell you
Yeah,
a suit. I know a guy.
I know a guy
for sure.
One degree of separation.
He's a custom guy, He'll tailor you up properly.
There's one good thing that came out of the wedding as well. I got my suit guy out of the wedding.
For sure, dude.
I met my suit guy. He hooked it up.
Dude, actually, I got a badass suit. I got my suit guy. I got this like suit with roses on it. It's my favorite suit. I'm not gonna lie.
I love getting the name or the initials on the inside.
Okay.
The custom inside.
Nice.
And because sometimes you got a fly jacket where people try to scoop it at these events and stuff, and
for sure,
out and about. So I'm like, your last name Jukes as well? I didn't think so. Yeah, the one we got married in, I have the date in there.
Okay.
So it's always a good reminder,
For sure.
You don't want to forget that day.
I mean, to be honest with you, my girl made me a keychain, to be honest with you.
You still have the keychain?
I still have the keychain.
You still have it on your keys?
I still have it on my keys.
Did you forget to take it off, or you like it?
No, I kind of like it. Yeah, I'm not gonna
Friendly reminder?
Friendly reminder of, of one thing that, I did. Like I said, I enjoyed being married, but it was really tough when, when one person, is, let's say this, one person is like working really hard in order to achieve something, and you're not really getting the support or the help that you're really seeking, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's relatable even like friendships, like across the board, right?
For sure.
Obviously, marriage is key, but in anything, right, takes two.
It does take two. One thing I definitely have learned is like, you know how like, do you know how when you're like before you're married, your girl is your friend. You go to her and you tell her pretty much what's on your mind. You know what I mean? Like what's bothering you.
Yeah, you guys are open.
Open, exactly. But I've learned through that process is you have to get a therapist.
Yeah.
Because like you never want to tell your girl something about your day that she can use against somebody just because you felt like you wanted to get something off your chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because something to you that you're getting off your chest won't be the same way she's perceiving it or taking it.
Right.
Because the way there's certain times where I've told my ex something and she would say, "Well, you said you don't like. You said this and this about this person." I was like, "Well, that's just how I felt at that moment, at that time.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I don't like the person. It's just how I felt." You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're venting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think also too, I mean, open communication as well too, where it's like you guys can communicate with each other. Where, like, I know for example, like when my wife, like she's emotional, she's a little firecracker sometimes,
Okay.
and I can tell when she's just trying to get something off of her chest and kind of venting versus like this is actually how she feels,
Okay.
and compartmentalize that conversation.
So do you ever?
And I feel like if I use it against her, then she doesn't feel comfortable being open with me. So I would never do that.
Yeah, but you will never do that. But the question comes down to, does she do that for you?
Yeah, we go, same thing. Yeah, if I got, I mean, it happens all the time. Especially we do business together, which is always a very interesting dynamic. But
Sure.
you know, she's got an incredible wedding planning business that there's really no value I can add there. I'm pretty useless when it comes to that. I was the bartender once, and I was the reverend once, but we stepped in.
You wanted the officiant?
Huh?
The officiant?
Oh, yeah.
Right, the officiant?
Yeah. I went and got my license, paid the $15, and married someone because they needed that. And then I was a bartender once, so we helped in that sense, but she crushes it with that. So I stay out of that as much as I can and just support her. But yeah, we do business together too. So I mean, that complicates things if you're not communicating as well, because how you feel about somebody in business and doing business together is very different than personally or friendship or emotion or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah, so I mean, she does the same thing for me. Like, I can vent about something and she can
like,
compartmentalize it in a way.
Do you start off the conversation of like, hey, I'm just trying to vent? Do you start it off like that, or you just like should go into like the venting?
No, I normally communicate it in advance, but
so you like say, hey, I just want to vent. I just need somebody to like listen.
yeah, or a lot of times something that we do is like, I like to get her perspective on things, and she gets my perspective a lot. Especially her, she's a little bit more emotional than me. I'm a little more logical, or think
For sure.
down the road a little bit more sometimes. But I'll bounce ideas off her and get her perspective on things, because I might feel some type of way and be venting, but she might be like, well, did you think about it from their perspective? And then I'll be like, you know what? Like, I'm over here venting, and the truth is, like, man, maybe I should have been more empathetic to their situation.
Yeah.
So,
Empathy is big.
yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of people have sympathy for people, which is
It's
them
totally different from
very
empathy.
different. Yeah, so they're sitting in
But
their
they
shoes,
get
feeling
the
bad.
They get the two confused all the time.
Yeah, empathy's you actually understanding their perspective from their shoes, not from your position. So, yeah, I mean, I think certain things, it depends. Every situation and relationship's different, and you know, certain conversations might be good with a therapist for sure. But I think it's just all I mean, it's in everything, but it's just communication, right? Like, I feel comfortable venting and knowing it's not going to be held against me. But if it was held against me, or it was brought back later and like turned in a different perspective, then I wouldn't want to do that anymore, right?
Of course.
You're digging your own grave.
I totally agree. I think that's kind of where my situation was, where I tried having an open conversation and being honest about like certain things, you know.
Yeah, and then you feel like you were held up in court later about
For
it.
sure. That made it a little tough. in a sense, you know, especially being wanting to be able to move forward in the relationship, you know, and it was kind of tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you can't tell people how you really feel, it definitely puts a void in the relationship, right?
Yeah.
If you feel a certain way and you want to say it, but then you have to bite your tongue because you are afraid of how they're going to respond to it, then
Bro.
it's tough.
No, you know what's tough? I want to tell you? So, like, you know, foreigners, they talk with their hands.
I talk with my hands,
Like,
too.
with their, okay.
Yeah.
And women, they talk with their hands as well.
Yeah.
But when you talk to a woman with your hands, the conversation is lost. It's like I've realized that you almost got to put your hands behind your back in order to have a conversation to where they're actually listening to you and not like losing you because they think like they're about to get in a fight because here you are swinging away in the conversation. It's like no, this is how I talk. You know what I mean? But a lot of the times, it's almost you got to have your hands behind your back to be able to have a full-blown conversation. It's just like, when did we become conditioned?
Yeah, well, I think that body language, right? Like body language
It's everything.
Yeah, well, body language is like has just as much to do with what you're saying, right? Because like people are, like that's even like with posture or whatever, right? Like however you're presenting yourself is gonna have a lot to do with how it's received.
For sure.
But you would think that that significant other like knows you. It's like this is just how you are.
You would think that, right? But in the end, everybody has trauma in a sense, and everybody has triggers.
For sure. Yeah, it's weird. My girl and I, we spoke at the church here, Impact Church, just a few weeks ago, and it was a couples Bible study on like Wednesday nights, and we were on a panel, and we were asked a question about how do you guys resolve conflict.
Okay.
And we actually did premarital counseling, which was super dope because you get other people, you just get to see what other people are going through and what's going on, and just have important conversations if you haven't had them yet. But one piece of advice that we got there that we used was anytime you're going to handle a conversation, if it's emotional, we schedule it. So if I'm heated about something or she's heated about something, we're not going to talk about it right then. We're going to schedule it. So that way we can really step back from the situation and really see, hey, is this something we really should talk about?
It's really smart.
But also, so if it is a conversation we need to have, we don't sweep it under the rug and then it comes back a year later, 2 years later, 6 months later.
I totally
you
agree.
work it out.
I agree. But like a lot of
we sit down on the same couch and have that convo.
So what happens where the situation is heated and you're trying to go that route and you say, hey, I'm heated, you're heated, let's reschedule this to have this conversation, and the person's like, no, I want to have this conversation right now. You're not going anywhere. Don't go anywhere. No. You know what I mean? And you're like, you know, and you don't want to and then you're trying to find an answer, and now you're digging yourself into a hole.
Yeah.
In a sense.
You got to ask that person, hey, when you're like this, what's the best way to get through?
I totally agree.
Yeah, like, do you want me to keep pushing or do you want to just table this?
Yeah, totally agree. Definitely. I like that.
I think the towel's it's got to be up there as the best part of a haircut, right?
100%.
That and the massage.
Yeah, I think the massage is the best part. The towel's pretty hot, right?
Yeah, it's steaming.
Hopefully it doesn't hurt too much against your burns.
I don't think there's anything that can make it worse, bro. We're toasted. When can I expect to see this book?
The book I've been writing?
Mm-hmm.
I actually just had somebody actually read it and edit it, reread it, and they told me what they wanted to see added to it. So I'm in there adding stuff into it now.
That's dope. No, it's interesting. I've always had the desire to do that, and our conversation and watching you kind of go through the process has definitely inspired me to actually not just think about doing it, but
I'm just doing it.
Well, I made a decision to do it, even if I'm not going to do it right now. I know I'm going to do it instead of just playing with the idea.
Honestly, the best thing I could tell you is start journaling.
Yeah.
Because once you start journaling, you start jotting down your ideas, and then once it comes down to it, you know what I mean, you already have all the stuff written down. And then all you're doing is just literally taking that same information and you're going
piecing the puzzle together.
Yeah, and you literally have it in a time frame of how exactly when the thought happened to when this, you know what I mean, and you can literally put the thoughts together that way.
Yeah, it's funny how quick we can actually forget monumental things that happen.
Mm-hmm. Yo.
So like, I don't know. I think like social media allows you the ability of like creating your own reality TV show in a way, and building your own brand. But I try to produce content daily, just as well too, so that way I can look back and like, oh yeah, that's when this, and this. That's when I just got this really fly haircut, you know, from Boris.
Mr. Jukes, thank you so much for your kind service.
Appreciate
Always
you.
a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Likewise. Good seeing you.
Okay. Maybe people won't focus on the
redness.
Yeah,
I
similar.
agree. I totally agree. The lines look crispy as fuck.
They're looking good.
Thank you guys for watching Fabulous Reality, and I hope you guys stay tuned for the next episode.
What you been about? All that time we spent apart, they got me healing now. Yeah, if I think about it, I just write it down. For their thoughts, man, that shit'll never